Good day everyone, I am Joyce.
And I am Judeline Cabrera Lisbos.
We present about
The case study 2, which is
what happened in the Cavite Mutiny.
way back 1872, there were two events happened in the Philippine history. A historic year of the two events. First, the Cavite Mutiny, a major factor in the awakening of nationalism among the Filipinos. Mutiny means a rebellion against authority. Comes from an old verb, mutin, which means revolt or in Tagalog, pag-aalsa. Cavite Mutiny, uprising of military personnel of San Felipe, Spanish arsenal in Cavite, Philippines. On January 20, 1872, around 200 soldiers and laborers rose up in the belief that it would elevate to a national uprising. The mutiny was unsuccessful and the government soldiers executed many of the participants. So basically, the Filipinos were not able to win against the Spaniards.
The second event was the martyrdom of the three priests. Gomborza, Gom for Gomez, Bor for Borgus, and Za for Zamora, a collective name of the three martyred priests, tagged as the masterminds of the Cavite Mutiny. Gomborza. They were prominent Filipino priests charged with treason and sedition. The Spanish clergy connected to priests to the mutiny as part of a conspiracy to stifle the movement of the secular priests who desired to have their own parishes instead of being assistants to the regular friars. So, it says that the Spanish clergy and the priests to the mutiny, maybe they are referring to the Gomborza. They planned to stop those secular priests who wanted to have their own parishes or a Christian church instead of being under the regular friars. Father Mariano Gomez, an old man in his mid-70s, Chinese Filipino born in Cavite, he held the most senior position of the three archbishop vicar in Cavite.
He was truly nationalistic and accepted the death penalty calmly as though it were his penance for being pro-Filipinos.
Father Jose Borgus, Spanish descent, born in the Philippines, he was a parish priest of the Manila Cathedral and had been known to be close to the liberal Governor General de la Torre. He was 35 years old at that time and was active and outspoken in advocating the Filipinization of the clergy. Father Jacinto Zamora, 37 years old, was also Spanish-born in the Philippines. He was the parish priest of the Marikina and was known to be unfriendly to and would not countenance any arrogance or authoritative behavior from Spaniards coming from Spain.
There are four primary sources from different historians in that we are going to zoom in to what happened of the Cavite Mutiny. From the Spanish account of the Cavite Mutiny. First, the Montero's account of the Cavite Mutiny. And second, the official report of Governor Izquierdo on the Cavite Mutiny of 1872. Jose Montero y Vidal, Spanish historian. His account centered on how the event was an attempt in overthrowing the Spanish government in the Philippines. His account on mutiny was criticized as woefully biased. An excerpt from Montero's account of the Cavite Mutiny. The idea of attaining their independence, it was towards this goal that they started to work with the powerful assistance of a certain section of the native clergy. It means that The Filipino school was to have their independence, and because of that, they started to work and planned to acquire the independence with the help of the native clergy. According to Montero's account, that the abolition of privileges enjoyed by the laborers of the Cavite arsenal of exception from the tribute was, according to some, the cause of the insurrection. There were, however, other causes, such as the Spanish Revolution, which overthrew a secular throne, propaganda carried on an undribbled press against monarchical principles. Those causes was the reason why the Filipinos wanted to attain their independence. In the beginning of year 1872, the authorities received anonymous information that there will be an outbreak against the Spaniards and that all will be assassinated, including the friars. But nobody takes seriously to these notices. The conspiracy had been going on since the days of La Torre, with extreme cautions of not being caught. They had a secret meeting and it was held is either in the house of Filipino Spaniards, Dr. Joaquin Pardo de Tavera, or in the native priest, Jacinto Zamora, and were usually attended by the member of Bacoor, which was the origin of the movement that enables to exercise a strong influence. Second primary source under the Spanish account. Governor Rafael Izquierdo implicated that native clergy who were active in the movement towards secularization of parishes. Montero and Izquierdo's account supported each other. Primary source. Excerpts from the official report of Governor Izquierdo on the Cavite Mutiny of 1872. It seems clearly stated that the rebellion was motivated and prepared by the native clergy, by the mestizos and the native lawyers, and by those known here as abogadillos. Reason for the revolution: the abolition of privileges enjoyed by the workers of the Cavite arsenal, such as exemption from payment of tribute and being employed in polos y servicios or forced labor. Other reasons that made it more serious, which includes the presence of the native clergy, who, out of spite against the Spanish friars, believed that conspired and supported the rebels. Just like Montero, Izquierdo was believed to be biased because he highlighted the attempt to overthrow the Spanish government in the Philippines to install a new hari in the person of Father Burgos and Zamora. According to Izquierdo, native clergy attracted supporters by giving them charismatic assurance that their fight would not fail because they had God's support. Aside from promises of lofty rewards such as employment, wealth, and rank in the military.
In the Spaniards' accounts, 1872 was a part of a big plan with the educated leaders, lawyers, and residents of Manila and Cavite. They planned to end the high-ranking Spanish officers, then kill the friars.
The accounts derailed on that January 20, 1872. The district of Sampaloc celebrated the Feast of the Virgin of Loreto, and there were some fireworks display. The Caviteños mistook it as a signal to start the attack.
So 200 men, led by the Sergeant La Madrid, attacked near Spanish officers and took their arsenal. When Izquierdo learned about the attack, he ordered the Spanish forces in the Cavite to stop the outbreak. The rebellion was easily crushed, and the Manileños who were expected to aid the Caviteños did not arrive. Leaders of the plot were killed, while Father Gomez, Burgos, and Zamora were tried by a court-martial and sentenced to be executed. Others who were implicated, such as Joaquin Pardo de Tavera, Antonio Regidor, Jose Basa, and Pio Basa,
And other Filipino lawyers were suspended from the practice of law, arrested, and sentenced to the life imprisonment at the Marianas Island.
On February 17, 1872, the Gomborza were executed by the garrote and threatened the Filipinos never attempt to fight the Spaniards again. Differing accounts of the events of 1872. First, the Pardo de Taveras account of the Cavite Mutiny. And the second is Plachat's account of the Cavite Mutiny. Dr. Trinidad Hermengeldo Pardo de Tavera, a Filipino scholar and researcher who wrote a Filipino version of the bloody incident in Cavite. Primary source excerpt from Pardo de Tavera's account of Cavite Mutiny. According to Tavera's account, the incident was merely to the mutiny of the Filipino soldiers and laborers of the Cavite arsenal to the dissatisfaction of the Draconian. Draconian is a harsh law according to Google. Draconian policies of Izquierdo, abolition of privileges, and prohibition of the founding of the School of Arts and Trades for Filipino. The central Spanish government had announced to deprive the friars in this island of power of intervention in matters of civil government and the management of educational institutions.
Due the facts,
And promises, the Filipinos had great hopes and an improvement in the country, while the friars feared that their power in the colony would soon come to an end.
Last account from Edmond Pouchot. Edmond Pouchot, a French writer, complemented Tavera's account and analyzed the motivation of the 1872 Cavite Mutiny. Primary source: excerpt from Pouchot's account of the Cavite Mutiny.
The arrival of General Izquierdo in Manila put an end to all the dreams of reforms. The Filipinos dreamed that the new General Izquierdo would reform or would make changes such as the changes in tariff rates at customs and the methods of collection, removal or surcharges of foreign importations, reduction of export fees, and many more. But it did not happen. The prosecutions instituted by new Governor General were probably expected as a result of the bitter disputes between the Filipino priest and the friars, such as policy must end in a strong desire of the part of the other to control cruelty. The friars used the incident, the Cavite Mutiny, as a part of a larger conspiracy to cement their dominance. But the Filipinos was displeased about it. They, or the friars, showcased the mutiny as part of a greater conspiracy in the Philippines by Filipinos to overthrow the Spanish government. Furthermore, the Cavite Mutiny of 1872 resulted in the martyrdom or the execution of Gomborza and paved the way to the revolution culminating in 1898. Since the Gomborza were executed by garrote in public, the scene was witnessed by a young Jose Rizal. Their martyrdom is widely accepted as the dawn of the Philippine nationalism in the 19th century. Jose Rizal dedicated his second novel, El Filibusterismo, to their memory. The government, by shortening your trial in mystery and pardoning your co-accused, has suggested that some mistake was committed when your fate was decided, and the whole of the Philippines, in paying homage to your memory and calling you martyrs, totally rejects your guilt. The Church, by refusing to degrade you, has put in a doubt the crime charged against you. And that will be for the case study 2, what happened in the Cavite Mutiny.